I would like to share with you something that I thought was incredibly interesting, which is why I feel propelled to share it. It is a poll from Polling USA. I'm going to pop it up on the screen right here. And so the question was asked to Americans, which do you think best describes Russia? And as you can see here, 42% said communist, 13% said socialist, 11% said capitalist, 17% said something else. Now, I thought this was amazing because, first of all, the people that said communist and socialist are wrong. And secondly, it's a part of this larger conversation, and maybe it's not so much of a larger conversation of trying to conflate Vladimir Putin or compare him to some sort of a leftist, maybe even a communist in some respects, as if he's the very reincarnation of a Vladimir Lenin or somebody of that, sort, or, come from that kind of ideology, which I thought was absolutely astounding, but at the same time ridiculous and just completely inaccurate. So let's get into this. This is it's very consistent with what American politics typically has to offer, and that is to conflate anything bad in the world, whether it's domestic or foreign, with some kind of left ideology, no matter what it is. Look, I'm not going to go through definitions here in this video. It'd take too much time, nor do I think I'm the best person to seek that from. There are many people that I can point you to that I believe have very good, accurate descriptions of what communism is, but I'll just give you a general explanation. Communism, like capitalism, like feudalism, like many other isms, is an economic system. And to think that that is the kind of economic model that Russia currently has, to think that Vladimir Putin is some kind of communist, you're either deeply uninformed, flat out ignorant, or stupid. I mean, pick one. Whichever one you pick, I don't know, it's up to you. But it's outstanding, and isn't it? And for me, looking at that poll, to me, that is a perfect encapsulation of what the American media propaganda system, as well as the American education system, can do to a population. It can cause them to think things that are completely untrue and believe old narratives that have been disproven, that are completely tired. Nevertheless, we hold on to them in this country because it makes us feel good. Now, Russia, the Soviet Union, there's a very long history that plagues that region that I won't go through because we just simply don't have the time. Once again, neither do I think I'm the person to do that with. But it's worth understanding, and I implore you to look into it to kind of figure out how their economic model has changed throughout the years and the different intricacies that led up to that. But to insinuate that they're communists today is completely inadequate. There's nothing about Vladimir Putin that's communist. Under that poll that I just showed you, I don't know who runs Polling USA, but the person said that, for the record, none of these are true. They're actually an oligarchy. And ding, 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 we have a winner. Yes. The way that I would describe Russia's economic model is basically what we have here in America, ironically, which is this monopolistic state-run capitalism. And Vladimir Putin, in terms of his ideology, he's actually more similar to the politicians that we have here in America than any communist I can recollect, to be completely honest with you. He's an oligarch and he's surrounded by oligarchs. And look, I don't know the specifics of this. It's hard to find information on this. But Vladimir Putin is actually an extremely wealthy man. There's like different reports and what have you that have been published that, say things like he's worth hundreds of billions of dollars. He's among one of the richest people in the world. And that I don't find hard to believe. They have an economic system like we do here, where the power is concentrated in the hands of a relative few. And the vast majority are forced to deal with the consequences, the negative consequences that come with that. That by no means exemplifies a communist society. But once again, the Cold War did a number on this country, and the insistence to conflate everything bad, specifically authoritarian, with communism or anything of the left is something that I know, and I'm sure many of you probably know all too well. As I pointed out previously, it's an economic system. To conflate it with something like authoritarianism, a specific kind of tendency that a specific individual may have took up as they led a specific communist society or whatever, is completely ridiculous. If I sat here and actually went through the deaths and the different decimations and horrible incursions that different leaders of capitalist societies inflicted upon their populations and civilization in general, we'd be here for quite some time, wouldn't we? But anyway, I don't want to get too off track. This here to me is just, it's an example of how the American mind has been misconstrued and taught to believe something, this is outdated knowledge, it really is. I think if you ask just grab an American off the street and ask them, what do you think about Russia? Are they communist? They probably just tell you, yeah, because they somehow relate those two things together. But anyway, I'll leave you with this. I consider myself to be, and this is a bit of personal information, a byproduct of the American public education system. I went through all the standard, education growing up, kindergarten, elementary, middle, and high school. And after I got done with that, I took my talents to higher education. I went to college, graduated from college not even a year ago. And I can confidently say, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I gained what I consider to be the most valuable knowledge that I possess outside of the classroom. I truly believe that, everything that I hold near and dear, that I'm extremely grateful for, that I know, I didn't learn in any classroom. No, never in any classroom did they teach me the things that I actually think are worthwhile to know. And to quote Noam Chomsky here, he characterized the American education system as an indoctrination of the young. Essentially, them telling you what they want you to know, which is quite alike to our national media, isn't it? With the amount of propaganda that gets thrust into our faces on such a consistent basis. And, a lot of people in this country, politicians and regular people alike, they love to, take these shots, and rightfully so in many cases. I'm more than willing to agree at places like Russia, for instance, and China for their media ecosystems, also for different, lack of civil liberties and what have you. And, we do have more of that here, and that's great. And, that's a separate conversation to be had. But they take shots at their media ecosystem. And, North Korea, for instance, it's just complete shutdown there, complete subjugation and subservience. And people like to point to Russia and China and how much their people are propagandized. But, you got to look to America, at our own country, and go, how much better is our media here? If we're only a little bit better, what difference does that truly make? And I mean, the question is worth asking, and I haven't really come across a sufficient answer as of yet. Still searching for that. But anyway, I thought that this poll was outstanding. 42% thinking that Russia is communist. Which do you think best describes Russia? Communist, 13% for socialist, 11% for capitalist. I mean, the writing is pretty much on the wall with this one. I don't really know how you could think otherwise, but once again, this is completely exemplary of everything that our education and media ecosystem has to offer.